All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Welcome to another After Dark episode. Hope you all are having a good day, and I hope you guys did something kick-ass after watching that Kobe Bryant 81-point footage from earlier today. I know I've had some extra momentum in my step, a little extra pep in my step all day after that one. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It's awesome. Anyways, I had a very special request on this one. And I'm glad this is something that would have been off of my radar. This one is called How Michael Jordan's Trainer Helped Him Become the GOAT. And this is by a channel called GQ Sports. And yeah, if you don't know about him, he not only trained Michael Jordan for basketball, also trained him for baseball. And then Tim Grover also trained Charles Barkley. And last but not least, that I know of, trained Kobe Bryant. So this guy is legendary. Like, he, as far as trainers go, he's outside the box. He does it his own way. He doesn't really work with the teams. He just works with the players individually. And obviously he produces well, because even in baseball, Jordan was doing nothing but skyrocketing, talent-wise, skill-wise. So he was legit turning Michael Jordan, along with Michael Jordan's crazy willpower, into a hell of a baseball player. Quick story goes, there was a baseball strike in the majors, so they were going to pull up all the minor league players, and they wanted Jordan to go up there with the other minors, and he didn't want to do it because that was not earning a major league spot the real way. And you know Michael Jordan, he doesn't want anything handed to him. So he started playing basketball again. So Tim Grover had to get his body back into basketball shape right after getting it in baseball shape. Insane. Anyways, this is the longest intro ever. I do apologize. This is going to be a long one. So strap in, get yourself a beverage, and do your thing. Get some food. Let's kick back and enjoy this one. All right, everybody, here we go.
I'll never forget this. The first day when we left that meeting, he said, "You better keep up. You better keep up." Name is Tim Grover. I worked with Michael Jordan for 15 years. Everyone knows me as his trainer, but my official title was a sports enhancement specialist. If you walk into a gym and I've worked with you for 2 weeks, you're not my client. If I passed you a ball for 1 day and I shot video of you, you're not my client. I define a client of mine who's worked with me for numerous years. Scottie Pippen, numerous years. Charles Barkley, numerous years. Hakeem Olajuwon, numerous years. Michael Jordan, numerous years.
Wait, did I see
Charles
Hakeem?
Barkley, numerous years. Hakeem Olajuwon.
I did not know about that one. I forgot he was also training Scottie, too.
Numerous years. Michael Jordan, numerous years. Kobe Bryant,
Yes,
numerous
sir.
years.
D. Wade. That makes so much sense, too. Started training 2005. That makes so much sense. That was his prime. So cool. Wow, man.
Numerous years. I mean, those are the top individuals. I have others that have had successful careers. I played college basketball at University of Illinois at Chicago. I've always been a basketball buff, so I actually did my thesis on strength and conditioning for basketball players. When I graduated college, I had a master's degree in exercise science, and I always knew I wanted to train professional athletes. The only way you could really train professional athletes was working for a professional organization. I wanted to work more with individuals. So I actually wrote letters to all the players on the Chicago Bulls organization. And back then, there was no email. I wrote 14 letters to 14 different players. There are 15 players on a basketball team. The one person I did not write the letter to was Michael Jordan. I didn't get any response back, but I did get a call from the athletic trainer, Mark Feil at the time, saying, "Hey, we have a client that may be interested in your services. We want you to meet this individual, be at the house at 1 o'clock. So I go over there, I knock on the door, and guess who opens the door?
So Tim Grover did. The one person he didn't write a letter to was MJ, but MJ ends up being his first major client. That's crazy. And it's really cool that he worked freelance. He didn't work for the team or the organization at all. This was a one-on-one. It was personal.
I got a chance to sit with him for 30 minutes, told him what my philosophies were, what I could do for him. And he was looking for somebody that wanted to work directly with him. When you work with a team, you have a certain schedule. You're set on whatever the team schedule is. He wanted somebody that was a little bit more flexible, and then somebody that would focus in on his body, because everybody's needs are a little different.
Yeah.
That was my path to him. I said, give me 30 days, let's see what happens. And 30 days turned into 15 years.
Wow.
He had gave me a list of what he was doing before. I said, tell me what you'd like to incorporate, what you'd like to keep out of this program. He goes, well, I want to start fresh. I want to start totally fresh. So my first thing with him was, all right, I don't care how fast you are, how high you jump. I said, none of that matters if you're constantly getting injured,
Yep.
if you're starting to have little nagging injuries. And one thing that he was very susceptible to was groin pulls and ankle injuries. So I said, let's address those things first. The more healthy you are, the better you'll be able to play. And I said, let's worry about being quicker, stronger, faster later. And most people put the concept of we need to make you quicker, stronger, faster first. The quicker, stronger, faster you make an individual, the more susceptible they are to injuries. Because they don't know how to handle that extra speed. They don't know how to handle that extra quickness. They don't know how to handle that extra power. When you do those things, you got to learn how to stop too. So everyone teaches you how to go, go, go.
Yeah.
No one teaches you how to stop. So my big philosophy was him, all right, let's deal with the injuries that you have. Let's take care of those things first. And by doing that, the more healthier you get, it's automatically going to improve your game. His obsession to win and to compete on the basketball court and everything he does was the same way that I felt. My obsession to help an athlete get better, to keep them injury-free, to play every single game. And if something didn't work, it was like, I always felt it was like my fault. If he missed a game-winning shot, even though I wasn't out on the basketball court, well, what could I have done better? If he was more fresh, if he was in better condition, or if he turned an ankle, or if he jammed a finger, I'd automatically start thinking in my head, did I do too much? Didn't I do enough? Why did I leave that exercise out? I should have done this. So it's the constant rewind of everything over and over again to do it next time even better.
It does make sense, too, because it was the beginning of his second season where he had, in my opinion, the worst injury he ever had. His second worst was in his comeback with Washington when he busted his knee, had a meniscus tear. But very early on, it looked like Jordan might be injury prone, but Mr. Grover here definitely did something right because pretty much outside of his second, it's so funny. It's like poetry, or it's just it rhymes. So his second year in the league, he got a major injury, and then his second to last year playing basketball, he had another major injury. But outside of that, nothing. Like just small bumps and bruises and stuff that he could tough through.
Everyone knows Michael is a huge foundation and fundamentals guy. All the crazy stuff that you see him doing in the air and all the fancy moves, he never practiced those. He practiced the fundamentals because he knew if he could master the fundamentals, master the foundation, those other moves would automatically come. That was the same philosophy I had. We started off with just the basic compound movements that you would see any strength and conditioning individual do. Anything from bench press and dumbbell presses to cleans to deadlifts to squats, all the basic stuff to build the foundation first.
Yeah.
During the off season, we would go anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. As we got closer to the season, the intensity increased and the time became a little short. It would be about an hour to 90 minutes. And then once the season started, the workouts were anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. If there were certain things he just didn't want to do, he would always say, no gimmicks. I want proven stuff, I want proven facts, I want proven results. Because that's what he was all about. He was about proving himself every single game.
And to speak real quick on the fundamentals, I see that as something that's really lacking nowadays. Whenever I play with people that are much younger than me and I'm much better, they have their youth at this point. I don't. I am amazed, and because we'll play a game of horse or something, right? And I'm always shocked because they'll be out there hitting threes and I'll be in there shooting free throws, left-handed layups, right-handed layups, like a bank from like 4 feet out. Just like all the fundamental shots you'd think that they should have mastered if they're out there bombing threes, but they have none of the fundamentals down. Do a reverse layup. They don't have it. But they'll shoot a three from nearly half court and actually have like a decent percentage. It's a weird thing because it used to be you start from the inside and you work your way out. That's how the fundamentals were developed in your shot. So you start out with layups. That's what layup drills are for. Doing right hand, left hand layups. Then you're working on close to the basket shots. Do them, swish, bank them. Work your way out to a mid range. And then eventually work your way all the way out to three. But I don't think this is being taught anymore.
Every single practice that he tells, every single game, every single practice that he was the best athlete, the best basketball player every single day. A lot of trainers come in and they ask the client, how do you feel? It's your job to know how the client feels. You should have paid attention to how many minutes he played, how physical the game was, whether they won or lost, what kind of mental state this person is after a win, what kind of mental state is he in after a loss. And back then, remember, a lot of the games weren't even televised live, so you'd have to stay up late. I had to record the games on and then get up early the next morning and watch them before I could see my client. I was as obsessed as he was, but I needed to know. Now, everyone, you have the Fitbits that, count the person's step. I would literally write down how many steps he took every single basketball game. I have pieces of paper still now. I would rewind it, watch it again, rewind it, watch again, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how many steps he took in the first quarter. This is how many he took in the second. These how many took he took to the left. This is how many he took to the right.
I've heard him talk about this. How many steps on the right, how many steps on the left. That's insanity. It's insanity. But yeah, no, it makes sense that he has to watch all the footage because he has to look for a weakness. Anything that he sees as a weakness in Jordan's game from the night before, all right, time to work on this.
Back, all this stuff. So that way I could understand which body
I'm sorry, that was something important. He was saying how many steps forward and how many steps backward.
Back, all this stuff. So that way I could understand which body part and which angle he used most, which one he used less.
Yeah.
And the training programs were totally developed around that methodology. If you look in a game and you notice that they have a tendency to pull 50% more to the right and only 20% to the left, well, if you're going equal distance when they're training, it's not going to correlate to the court.
Yeah.
He would go so much more in one direction. You didn't want to overuse that side, so you'd put the emphasis there. But that was the adjustments that somebody who's obsessive, you notice and you pay attention to. You're not going to take a superstar who's that good and increase their abilities by 10% during an off season. It's just not going to happen. They're looking for that 1% of how can I get better.
Yeah.
Every single year, it has to show improvement. If it doesn't show improvement, then I'm not keeping up with them. So I would tell Michael, I'm going to create more power, more strength, and more force for you. Now it's your job to learn how to control it and what you do with it. That's not my expertise. Whether I worked with Michael or not, he was still going to be the greatest basketball player ever. I helped him stay there a little bit longer.
Yeah, fair. Kept him healthy. So he started training in 8, though. That makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. When did the Bulls beat the Pistons? 2 years later. And Jordan, in the beginning of 89, was still skinny, super skinny. He put on, I think it was 15 pounds of muscle over the next 2 years, like solid muscle. And it also signifies when Jordan started not jumping as high, he wasn't as much of Air Jordan. Like if you go back from 84 to 88, mainly, like you see a Jordan that's jumping out of the building dangerously. It was very entertaining, but very dangerous. And then from 89 on, you see him start to not do the crazy jumping so much, but he's more strength based. And that's how they overcame the Pistons, because they couldn't just bully MJ anymore.
First started training him, we always did it after practice. With the amount of minutes he was playing, the physicality and so forth, I was like, Michael, we have to make this adjustment. I said, there's just not enough time. Let's move it before practice. Let's make it the first thing you do in the morning. After each workout, after each game, after each practice, I would ask him one question. I would say 5, 6, or 7. And he would either give me a number or he would put up a hand. So if he did this, that means be at the house at 5 a.m. If he did 6, it was be at the house at 6. It was time to be at 7. And that's how the Breakfast Club evolved. He invited Scottie Pippen and then Ron Harper, and they would work out every single morning. Big elaborate setup in the basement downstairs. Each one had a little different program because they all had needs that were particular to those individuals. And afterwards, if you showed up for the workout, you got a chance to eat breakfast upstairs. Those guys never missed a workout. They never missed a workout. Because if you missed a workout, the tongue lashing and the trash talking Michael would talk to you at practice that next morning, you're better off making it to the workout and not having to hear his mouth than to show up at practice knowing you missed the workout.
That sounds like MJ.
I don't consider it tough. I consider it accountability. He was like, if I train this hard, I play this hard, I practice this hard, if I can go 38 minutes in a game and come to practice the next day, be taped up, ready to go, and practice as hard as I possibly can, why can't you? People know the game was so much.
And this is why he's the greatest of all time. It wasn't handed to him. The guy had to go out there and earn it every freaking day of his life. And he wasn't out there filming himself exercising and working out. Like, he was just doing this stuff behind the scenes. And everyone was wondering why he's getting so much further ahead of them skill-wise every single day. This is why.
Much more physical back then. Nowadays, you can go around the players. Back in those days, you had to go through them, around them, over them, under them.
Yep.
You had to develop all those things. So the Detroit Pistons were his main nemesis, but it was also like he wanted to be known as the most dominant player ever. Michael was up for anybody. He didn't care. Every game, every practice, every off day was circled on Michael's calendar. He would go into practice wanting to destroy anybody and everybody in practice. And he said, the harder I practice, the easier the game will become.
That's it.
He did everything to an extreme so it would actually make the games much easier for him.
Psychology moment here. That's also a good way to combat anxiety. You got anxiety issues? Prepare more. Get freaking prepared. Whatever it is that's coming up, that's on your mind, that's freaking you out, do what MJ does. Or, just prepare. Get to work. Get to work, because eventually you're going to feel ready. You're not going to be that nervous anymore because you've been through it. You know what's coming.
It worked. Every single practice, every single training session, every single game, Michael always gave you a wow moment.
91, first championship.
When they won their first championship and they were playing the Los Angeles Lakers, they lost the first game. And I remember him telling me, he goes, we're winning this series. I saw everything I needed to see. Every loss was a learning experience. It was an education thing. He didn't beat himself up over it. Michael C's got this great statement. He goes, I never lost a game. I just ran out of time.
Dude, that's perfect. Oh, man, I used to have that hat. Hold on. I wish I still had it. That's their first championship hat. Oh, man.
He played between 213 and 218. That was his weight. And depending on whether they were going to handle him more physically, whether he needed to be a little bit more finesse, being able to jump a little higher, jump a little faster. So the adjustments were constantly made, but it was more to keep his body at a chronological age that wasn't the same as his physiological age. Now that he was getting up there, 29, 30, 31, I still wanted his body to be able to perform as though it was 2 years younger. As an athlete gets older, there's certain types of muscle fibers that have a tendency not to work the same way. And you have to continue to work those at a rapid pace. So I don't need you to be stronger anymore, because there is a point of no return with an athlete where they can actually become too strong or they can become too big, and it actually has an adverse effect on how they train.
Yeah.
So what happened was, as we got older, his weights actually got lighter, but the movements got faster. The idea was, okay, I need you to move this amount of weight from point A to point B faster than you did last year. The workouts became shorter in duration, but increased in intensity.
Dude, look at those veins, man. He's just freaking ripped.
Workouts became shorter in duration, but increased in intensity. As his star grew, there was less time for me, because there's more time needed for endorsements, different travel, family. So I'm not going to say, hey, listen, I still need 3 hours a day. I still need 2 hours a day. What are the variables? What are the things that I need to keep in? How can I still get the same results in a 2-hour workout in 45 minutes now? Well, as the body slows down, how about if we have the brain to see things faster, to be able to recognize things ahead of time? I can't have you lifting the weight at the same speed, but you have the ability to process information faster because you have more knowledge, you have more understanding. So that's why we started to do different things with lights and objects and so forth. Like when he would be tired, I would give him something to think about, some kind of puzzle to figure out, some kind of light thing to figure out, so that, hey, while the brain is tired, let's challenge it. Because if resistance makes your muscles grow, well, resistance makes the brain sharper.
Fair enough statement right there.
I didn't travel with him because I never worked for the organization. So I was not allowed on the team plane. I'd have to book my own flights, have everything set up before he got there, scope the different local gyms and see what's going on. Phil Jackson had told Michael that he couldn't travel with his golf clubs anymore. So it became my responsibility to take his golf clubs. Even if he wasn't going to play, to me, that was part of his training regimen. I knew how relaxed it made him from a mental standpoint. It helped him get into the zone. If you watch the old videos of the Beatles, how people used to surround them, imagine that's how it was with him wherever he went. Individuals would literally hand their children and just say, just touch my baby, because they thought he had this like magical power that were like, it was the craziest thing.
Yeah, I just recently rewatched The Last Dance for the first time in over a year. And yeah, it's ridiculous. He was Elvis, Michael Jackson, the Beatles, whatever reference you want to put.
And once he was in the hotel, he couldn't leave.
Yeah.
So golf was the one place where he could go somewhere. The taking of the clubs was as important from a mental standpoint from him. His mind could literally be off of basketball and the obsession of everybody else around him. And just by observing things and by tracking to see if he played golf, what was his mental state afterwards? What were the results in the game? If he ate this, did he score more points? Did he score less? If he took a nap at 4 and he got up at 5:30, if he took a nap at 2 and got up at 3, what were the outcomes of the game? Every little bit. If he drank a certain glass of wine, whatever, I paid attention to everything.
As long as he doesn't eat pizza at like 3 in the morning or whatever during the NBA Finals, Tim.
And how it related to the end result.
Yep, baseball body time.
The training for baseball is completely different than the training for basketball. The easiest way to give an example is when you play basketball, there's a certain amount of arc that goes on a basketball shot to maximize the space on the rim. When you throw a baseball from right field, you can't put an arc on the ball. It's got to be from point A to point B as fast as you can. So you have to retrain the whole shoulder muscle, what movement it's going to do. So the exercises we did for basketball were not applicable for baseball. The way you swing when you lead with your hips, completely different in baseball when you're swinging a bat than when you're stepping into a basketball shot. The funniest thing was when he got there in the minor leagues, those guys were a lot younger than him. In all the conditioning drills, he was lapping everybody there. He was like the first one done. And Michael always did more. So if you told him, you know, back and forth 10 times, he's going to do 12, he's going to do 13. That's just his competitive nature. Said, I'm not going to let anybody outdo me.
And that's what all of his teammates and the manager from the organization said the same thing too. Like they said, give MJ another year, and he would have been a Major League Baseball player. Like he was improving so fast, and it was unheard of. Everyone likes to give him crap about it, but they tend to forget that he played baseball for just over a year, and he was significantly improving. Like he could have actually cheated the system, but not really cheated because it was an offer, but he could have played in a major league. Like he could have had that on his resume, but he didn't feel he earned it. Yep. Okay, so October 93, time to turn his body into peak basketball body into a baseball body. All right? So October 93, and then by March of 95, so that's what, a year and a half, we could say? Yeah. So a year and a half later, time to turn it back into a basketball body. Like, there's no wonder why he lost a step by the time he came back. Like, you know, you guys can notice he changed his game a little bit. He wasn't jumping that high anymore. He didn't have as much speed and quickness to him anymore. Can you imagine what torture he put his body through between October 93 and March of 95? And really, the whole summer after they lost to the Orlando Magic, and he came back bulked up, ready to play with a perfect basketball body again. Like, it's amazing how much torture he put that body through switching sports like this.
During my off time between his retirement and when we started the baseball training, I had already started to put a workout together and started to do my research and homework, saying if he ever comes back, what's going to happen from a physiological standpoint? What will we have to do in order to get him back? When he came back and he started to play, we had a discussion with him, and I said, Michael, there's not enough time to transition your body, because he came back at the end of that season, and I said, there's not enough time to transition your body from baseball to basketball. For you to be playing at the optimal level that you were before, I said, there just isn't enough time. Now, from a skill standpoint, that's on you. Okay, but I'm just telling you from a performance standpoint, there just isn't.
And that's why his legs gave up on him basically in that first playoffs against the Orlando Magic. It was very clear he was exhausted and his legs were just not there. And that's because what Tim Grover's saying, there just wasn't enough time to get his body ready.
When that happened, I don't remember the day that they lost that game to Orlando. I think it was a home game. We were the last ones in the arena. We're getting ready to leave out. And I said, Michael, I'll see you. He goes, I'll see you tomorrow. So that training process started right away.
Oh, if that's not a crazy, psychotic definition of accountability, wow. That's so true, though. He talked the trash, so now he's got to back it up. He's setting a trap for himself. That's insane.
So if he went and told you, I'm going to give you 50, that wasn't to put pressure on the opponent. That was to put pressure on himself to say, now I've said this, I have to deliver. Because his expectations were always greater than what anybody else put on him.
I'm curious what he has to say about the Wizards' time. Mentally, okay, physically, yeah, he wasn't the same Michael Jordan. Mentally, I'd argue this is the smartest version of Michael Jordan we ever saw on a basketball court. The level of fundamentals and patience I saw from him offensively, second to none. It was something beautiful to watch.
I actually moved to Washington with him. It was a 2-year period. And they didn't get into the playoffs. They didn't win as much. But the biggest accomplishment, and if I remember right, his last year at the age of 40.
Played all 82.
Played 82 games.
Yep, he played all 82.
Listen, you want your team to win. You want him to have the trophy because that's the ultimate prize. But you have to set individual goals for yourself. As the trainer of the greatest athlete, you can't set a realistic goal. You can't set, I'd be happy if he plays 70 games. You have to set an unrealistic goal saying, I want him healthy enough, physically and mentally, to play every single game.
And for you young bucks out there who don't understand why us older people say like the game has changed and the players aren't as tough as they used to be, we're talking about 40-year-old Michael Jordan. He's got, right at this point, he's got a busted up rib from Ron Artest, and he just came back from a meniscus tear surgery. And what's he do? At the age of 40, he plays all 82 games. No load managing, nothing. And this wasn't like a title run. They didn't even make the playoffs. The team was trash. But he still went out there and performed all 82 games.
A cooler is an individual who's good at what they do. You give them a job to do, they get that job done. Nothing exceptional. There used to be this term on sports, and they still use it now, that that person's a closer, where the closer is they would hit the game-winning shot, or the pitcher that comes in the game, or somebody hits the home run. Closer's an individual that's great at what they do. They produce that end result as long as many variables aren't thrown at them. When I was watching Michael and they would call him a closer, and I would just say, you cannot classify him just like everybody else. I have this concept, it's called a cleaner. A cleaner is an individual that delivers that end result
no matter what.
Over and over again, no matter what's thrown at them. They deliver multiple championships, multiple aha moments, multiple end results. And that's what Michael did. And because he never really stopped, because here's the one thing, his obsession with the game was whenever you said he couldn't do something, it became a challenge to him. It was like, all right, Michael, you can't win a championship leading the league in scoring.
That was a real one.
Yes, you can. So I'm going to go lead the league in scoring and win a championship. Michael, you can't lead the league in scoring and be the best defensive player in the league.
Yes,
I can. I can lead the league in scoring, win a championship, and be the most dominant player on both ends of the court. So whatever somebody challenged him about, it was like, I could show you. The way I described him is you weren't going to a basketball game. You were going to a performance. It was like going to a ballerina. It was like going to the opera. If you ever went to the United Center when Michael was playing, people would literally be dressed up in suits, ties. The women would be in evening gowns.
Like it's a Broadway show.
And when
look at that.
The buzzer went off in the introduction, everybody was in their seats. You did not want to miss a moment because you never knew what he was going to do. And every single game, every single moment, he never disappointed you. He's the one that set the trend of basketball players lifting, basketball players training, individuals having their own individual. Your superstars, they're not afraid to share their knowledge, their expertise, what they did. That's how I got to Kobe, was through Michael. He was the one that recommended me. He's the one that says, hey, why don't you try my guy? They're not afraid to do that because you know what? It forces them to elevate their game. Because they know there are no secrets out there. There are no secrets. You look at the top athletes, they'll lay everything out on the table. Receiving the information is free. There's no cost to that. The price comes in is what you do with that information.
Implementing it.
Most people just aren't willing to pay the price, or they're not willing to pay the price long enough. Michael paid the price all the time. Every single practice, every single off day, every single game.
Wow. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much, you know who you are, for suggesting that we check this video out. It was really, really fun. Really fun for me. Big Tim Grover fan over here. I actually learned some things about him I didn't know. Biggest shock was that he trained Hakeem Olajuwon and Dwayne Wade. But I just love hearing him talk about the training regimens. And obviously, I love hearing about how he he trained Michael Jordan, and looky here. Mamba mentality. I want to watch this too. Let me know if you guys want to watch a Tim Grover video talking about basically a video like this, but talking about how he trained Kobe. I would definitely want to watch that as well. This was good stuff. Everybody, if you made it this far, you are the real ones. You are awesome. You are the real basketball fans. Do me a favor, because I'm pretty sure this video is going to get demonetized. Please leave this video a like. Just push it out there. That way, it does something. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's going to get demonetized. Hopefully it doesn't get flagged, and hopefully I don't have to edit anything out. I would love it if this just goes straight through, but with GQ Sports, I'm not sure if it's going to fly. But anyways, everybody, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll cover the Mamba mentality one. Just thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out and doing this with me. And thanks for the awesome suggestion. This video was not on my radar. So I'm really glad I got to watch this and share it with you guys. So, all right, everybody, have a wonderful night. This ended up being like the ultimate motivator video day, because we did Kobe's 81 points in the morning, and then we're talking about insane training for Michael Jordan at the nighttime. So yeah, we should all be very motivated. We should all go out and build a freaking house with our bare hands tomorrow. What do you say? All right, everybody, have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching. Peace out, and be safe out there, all right?